Episode 17. Setting goals.
Yeah.
Setting goals. Because you know what I hate?
What do you hate,
Oh, dear.
Tom?
The internet.
Do you know what grinds my gears?
It really grinds my gears. But I don't know if you guys, maybe it's just my algorithm, but you get bombarded with these people in their 20s that are doing podcasts. Not to say there's anything wrong being in your 20s, but they're all saying the same thing. You gotta have a goal. You gotta have vision. You know, they're basically repeating Arnold Schwarzenegger's big speech that he did at some point. And it's like, you need to learn to say no more. And they're just saying these things blindly. And you're like, say no to what? A
No,
biscuit? What?
but when you were in your 20s, did you
I knew
not
everything.
think?
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had many goals in my 20s.
Yeah.
My main thing with today is hopefully we're not going to actually be wishy-washy and just say the stuff like that, because we
Yes.
do it too. Everybody does it.
Oh,
Yeah.
And we need to not be wishy-washy. We need to be actually like, right, what exactly do we mean? What does that look like in an actual scenario? So that's the goal with today's podcast.
Oh, we've got a goal.
We've
For
got
the
a
goal
goal?
podcast.
The goal for the podcast is to be specific,
Measurable.
measurable,
Oh no! Attainable.
attainable, realistic,
and time bound.
constraint, which we are. Good. Okay.
No way.
Tom, what's a goal?
Well, I don't know. That's what the podcast is for. The podcast is going to figure it out for us. Let's go.
Jenny, do you have a loose definition of a goal?
A loose definition of a goal is something that you're working towards.
Nice. Cool.
I want to say an end point, but I think that's sort of a negative way of looking at a goal, is that once you've done it, you finish.
Yeah.
So it's not an end point is maybe a bad way to do it, but a goal is just something that you want to achieve. That could be ongoing, could be specific, could be finite. Best goals are time bound, as we know, smart goals. Yeah, something that you're working towards that'll benefit you in some way.
When I was walking this morning, I wrote down a little. I had it as a temporary focus.
You pre-thought?
Like Tom.
That's cheating.
You that?
Do you even know me? Been thinking about this for weeks. No, a temporary focus on being able to achieve something you can't currently.
Ah, I like.
Nice.
And it could be something that you've maybe done before that you want to get back to again as well.
Yeah.
So let's get specific. Real specific. Specific. Jenny, what is a goal that you want set for yourself?
I wanted to do a back tuck before I was 30.
So a back tuck is a back flip.
Back flip. Well, yeah, because the back tuck is where you jump up, tuck your knees into your chest, and you do a full 360 land back on your feet. Because a back flip to some people is where you jump back into your hands, which I also achieved, just
Back
saying.
handspring.
But yeah, called hamstring.
Yeah. So that was a goal,
Hamstring.
something you couldn't do, and you did it.
I dad.
You did that.
You did
I
it.
did dad, and
done
I did it. Darn tootin' did it.
Bim bam boom.
Bayday big, bayday boy.
That's the one.
Simpsons episode is the best thing ever.
Oh, that's from a Vine
it
from
from
like
Vine?
2004 or something.
I thought it was from The Simpsons.
Bayday big, bayday boy. That's right, boss.
We'll have
Bayday big,
Someone in the
bayday
comments
boy.
has to tell us what that's from.
It's
I
I
think it's
know
Simpsons.
it's not from The Simpsons.
I think it's The Simpsons.
Where is it from?
It's
Describe
it's
the
mob
episode
and-
to
it's
me.
the mob and The Symptoms.
Yeah, he's
the
a mob
Symptoms. I
boss.
keep calling them The Symptoms.
The Symptoms.
What's a goal,
I feel like I should
JP?
get back to our goals.
What's a goal, JP, that you want set for yourself?
Can we come back to me?
You were the one who wanted to get back.
Right, okay, so I set it down into
Okay.
goals that I've set and failed at, and
Ah.
goals that I have set and succeeded in.
Well, there you
we'll go into
go.
the field. We'll go into the field. What's a goal that you set and you didn't achieve?
I was going to row in the Olympics,
Oh, that's a big one.
and I didn't do it.
Yeah.
Failed.
It's not. Let's just also say that was achievable for JP. By the way,
Yeah.
a lot of people are like, "I'll be in the Olympics." No, you never were. JP could have been in the Olympics. Let's also just put that detail.
We'll come back
there.
to as well of like why it's not necessarily a bad thing as well. But what's a goal that you've set to yourself?
that I
Maybe-
failed.
Mhm. But Jenny's just a winner. Never fails.
I think I just forget about it. If you know what I mean. I move
Didn't even
on.
matter. I didn't care about
Yeah.
it anyway. Moving on.
I don't think I've had a big goal that I failed, except potentially one that related to the previous one I said. As soon as I achieved the back flip and the back handspring and all this stuff, I injured myself so badly and scarred myself mentally so badly that I can no longer do them. So in a way, that's a failed goal in that I achieved it, but I can no longer do them now. And that's probably the biggest one that I think is as a failure.
Which is interesting because I don't see that as a failure. You achieved 100% of the goal that you set out to.
Yeah.
Because there's no requirement to do a backflip before you're 30 of do a backflip before you're 30 and continue to be able to do it until I die.
Continue to do backflips.
Because at some point you're not going to be able to do it.
Yes.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Yeah,
I was going to stop sooner or later.
Yeah.
Why not straight away?
Yeah.
I was really
Do it once,
efficient about
done.
it.
Yeah.
I did quite a lot. Like, I was doing them a lot.
Mm-hmm.
But then I landed on my head a couple of times and then I just couldn't leave the ground anymore. Yeah.
What about you, Tom? A failed goal and an achieved goal?
Oh, millions of failed ones. But they were mainly like workout based, nothing like devastating, like trying to get my Fran time under 3 minutes or something like that, little silly things that I just never got. But the thing that I kind of want to come back to is like it wasn't wasted time because there was direction there. I was trying to get better at something and I did get better at it.
Nice.
It didn't just pan out to what I wanted to be able to get, which was the faster workout time or whatever. So similarly, you with JP,
Yeah,
you are
JP.
you're not getting the Olympics, but it's like you're such an exceptional athlete, rower, trainer, coach, all that stuff because of the attributes you got from that type of training. So boring.
Yeah.
But
like
being
so
able to be
boring.
consistent with something that doesn't have a lot of variety
Totally,
and
yeah.
being able to push yourself at that level, like the attributes that gave you as a person are incredible, which we just milk every day now. We just take all of those great attributes from you and use them very well.
Well, because I kind of categorize my goals into two. The one that I had succeeded at was near the end of last year. I said I want to get back to doing 4 to 5 workouts a week.
Mm-hmm.
I've nailed it. I absolutely nailed it. I haven't missed one. It's been great. And the common theme between the ones that I failed at were that they were results driven, and the ones that I succeeded in were process driven. So like the goal to do the workouts, I mean, a workout can be a walk.
Mm-hmm.
Now I haven't counted a walk as a workout, but the process is I want to do something that resembles some kind of workout that many times a week. With the rowing, my goal was I want to go to the Olympics. I had no control over that. There could have been 25 people better than me. Just it was such an external goal. It wasn't. Yeah.
Yeah, there were so many factors out of your control that
Totally,
no matter how hard you worked, there was always a chance of failure.
Yeah.
Whereas completing 4 to 5 workouts a week, you can control so much more of that that the chance of failure is slim to none.
But you should absolutely have big dreams, big hairy goals.
It's totally awesome to have that, and especially because I can't remember what the phrase is, but it's like if you aim for the moon, you'll get to the top of the mountain.
Yeah.
I don't make that up.
It's something like aim for the moon and you end up amongst the stars, but that's so stupid because the stars are further away.
But if you only aim for the top of the mountain, you might get to base camp. Oftentimes we do fall short of our goal, but if your goal is big enough, then the idea is
If you chase perfection, you just might catch excellence.
Oh, there you go. That's more like it. Yeah.
I quite like that one.
Well done.
Yeah.
That's way better than mine.
I do know the stars and moon one though. Did we cover a field one of Jenny?
Yeah, but when you guys are
Jenny
talking,
doesn't feel goals.
I just move on.
Forget about it.
It's in the past, forget about it. However, even though nothing has stuck with me as a failure, I would, interestingly, the most goals I've failed are the opposite of JP.
Oh, interesting.
If I say to myself, I'm going to start doing this once a week, that's usually when I start failing. And I don't know why, but if I have a thing to work towards, I am much more likely to work for it. And if someone tells me in a workout to go to failure or do an AMRAP as many reps as possible, I'm just like, you tell me to do 50 reps, I'm like, okay, let's go. Like, I am terrible with just that ongoing, yeah, you just gotta do it, just keep going. And
which is so circling back to you said the things I developed on the path to my failed goal, it was a lot of monotonous kind of You just got to do the work,
Yeah.
and then 20 years down the line, I'm now in a position where I'm much more motivated by what are the da-da-das that I need to do. Let's do the da-da-das, and then we'll
Because
see.
you know they'll lead somewhere.
We'll see what happens as a result.
Yeah.
But I probably wouldn't have been that way if you'd asked me this question when I was 18. Totally different answer. Very much would have been like, let's go do the things and achieve the stuff. And
Yeah.
Yeah, I think for me the biggest one that I can really verbalize that I tracked really well. So I never liked school, and I love to play computer games. And the way I kind of played computer games was trying to level my character up as much as possible, so the rest of the game would be easy.
Yeah, totally.
So that was kind of the way that I looked at setting a goal for. So the biggest one for me was to hit 100 kilos in the snatch, which is the lift with the barbell, where you lift it from the ground in one go and put it above your head, and then stand up with the weight, and you've completed the weight. So to any proper athlete or anything like that, 100 kilos isn't that much, but for me as the regular average Joe, that was a big number for me, especially like I couldn't even overhead squat with a barbell.
I don't care. 100 kilos
is 100 kilos.
Legit. It's like a body weight strict. Like there are just certain numbers that you're like,
Wow.
cool, good job, you. Well done. Well done.
So, but weirdly for me, so I never liked school, never liked homeworks, never liked any of that stuff. I'm like, this is stupid. Years later, whenever I started to actually find stuff I'm interested in, I love problem solving. So it was like, okay, how do I build this 100 kilo snatch? What are the elements of this? So I need to be able to pick it up off the floor to higher than my hips. So how can I break that 100 kilos down? Well, if I lift more than 100 kilos to that height regularly, that's going to make me strong enough to get it high enough. The other thing that I practiced was the overhead squat, which was the catching part of the movement, when you have it above your head and you squat with it and you stand up. So I built that up to 120 kilos to be able to overhead squat 120 kilos. So I'm like, mentally then I can go, I know I can handle 120 kilos.
Nice.
This is only 100 that I'm lifting off the floor. So I built the lifting part of the movement and the catching part of the movement. And then all I did outside of that was just the technique work, trying to get my technique as good as possible with around 70 to 80 kilos. Just drilling. And I did it 4 days a week because it was more, I love 4 days a week because it's more of my week than not. So,
on the one lift?
On the one lift.
You savage.
Yeah. That's 'cause I needed that because me and a couple of the guys in the gym had the race to 100 and I'm like, I am not losing this. I am not losing this because they will never let me live it down.
Yeah.
So that's the way I like to come at it. So it was like, okay, if I build this and I build this, all I got to do is put it together. And I set the date of when I was going to do the lift.
Yeah.
And even mentally, because weightlifting is such a mental thing as well. I even had a friend of mine come down.
I was going to say, I remember that.
Yeah, I got a friend of mine to come down to help me beforehand to be like, you've got this. Because all my friends were there. And in Northern Ireland, you basically rake each other and say, oh, you're never going to get it. You're a weak little bit. All that there stuff and all that there. Which
I said that to you yesterday.
this morning too with the podcast stuff, the bag.
Oh yeah.
Maybe you just thought it. Or maybe I just thought you thought it.
You called me because you said careful, that's heavy, and I just looked at you like, what do you mean by that?
What are you trying to say? Yeah, sure.
I mean, it's heavy. I find it heavy.
Anyway, sorry.
Yeah, so build the movement. So it was the problem solving element that I loved about it. So it was like, right, how can I get this that I've never done it before? How can I make myself feel so confident that it's achievable?
Yeah.
And then on the day I went, this is the exact weights I'm doing. Liam, my friend, made me tell him the night before what weights I was going to do in which order.
Yeah.
And I did them and I didn't miss any of them. I did my 80, my 85, my 90, 92 and a half, 95, and then went straight to 100.
Yeah.
And just went for it and boom, 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 hit them all.
The cool thing about, I mean, because it's such a specific goal and you've got the date, you've got all the prep, like the obsessiveness and the drive that comes from obsession is so, like, I can feel it from when that's happened, and you're just like alive and on fire, and you smash that lift out, you're like, yeah! Like, that's such a cool ramp up and win. It's really nice.
Yeah, that was a goal that I set and succeeded at, and yeah, obsessive is the right word. Like, you almost, it has to excite you that you really want to do this. You want to identify that you've done it, which is kind of the thing I think would be most helpful to people, is that the goal you set for yourself, you want to make the habits that you have reflect that goal. So obviously, if I want to win a marathon, probably going to be important to be someone that runs. So
I'd
I
reckon,
need to be the person that goes out and runs. And that's kind of the goal I've set for myself this year. My current goal that I have this year is to be the leanest that I've been for years, and to be the lightest I've been for years. And I have actually achieved the lightest I've been for years. I don't look the way I thought I was going to look, but we'll get there still. Still an ongoing thing. But the identity that I then took from that is like, right, okay, every day without fail, I'm going to go into my gym and I'm going to be in it.
Yeah.
I don't have to work out if I don't want to, but I'm going to be in it. And what I found is every time I'm in the gym, I do stuff. So it kind of helps. So I've cut down eating as much as I would. So I don't eat in the mornings, and I make sure that I have like either a big lunch or a big dinner, and the other one will be a smaller meal essentially. And that's what I've done, just to cut the calories down. And I've just stuck to that. And that's been the identification of like, if someone does that, they're going to probably be leaner and lose weight because they're training often and they're eating less. And that's just what I've picked as the identity for that.
Yeah.
And just by sticking to that, it's working.
So so a success sort of path for you is you've got the goal, you break it down into your chunks and into the, if I was the kind of person that could do this or has achieved this, what is my day-to-day like? And then just reverse engineer that and do those things.
Which I find super helpful.
Yeah. Do you have when you're setting your goals or goals that you've succeeded in the past, are there strategies like that you've used to make it successful for you? Jenny, for the other listeners?
Well, I guess to say on Tom's, I think that that's one of the biggest reasons people fail goals is that they set a goal that they want to, but they don't necessarily relate to.
I think it'd be cool. It's like, it'd be cool to do that.
But
they
yeah,
don't really
like if
care.
they don't shift their thoughts about themselves, that you are a person who does that, I think that's really, really good advice, especially when someone's doing quite a major shift, that you maybe are starting fitness or, starting to change your diet, something at the very beginning. I think you have to relate your identity to the end goal from the beginning, because otherwise you'll constantly feel like you're fighting against your own choices. And you constantly feel...
You just reminded me of why I failed previously there, because I started saying to myself, I'm going to be more efficient with my time. I'm only going to train 45 minutes. I'm going to make sure I know what I'm doing every day.
Interesting.
And I don't react well to that.
No.
If I said,
Efficiency? Systemizing?
If you put a program out for me and said you have to do 50 lunges, 50 push-ups, 50 sit-ups, and you said to me you have to do that every day, I'll go into the gym and I will not enjoy it. I will not want to do it. I'll be like, that's not what I feel like doing today.
Yeah.
But if I go into the gym and I don't have a plan, this is only relevant to me. It doesn't work for you guys.
Nope.
Well, I'll jump in after this.
If I go into the gym and, like I say, have to be there for an hour, I'll end up doing 200 lunges, 500 push-ups, and 60 pull-ups, and some band work and some animal movements and some bit of cardio, and then I might actually go for a long walker now as well.
And I'll record a short.
I'll just do a bunch of stuff because the time I've set the time there for it, which again, that's relevant to me. But that's why I failed with my previous effort of trying to be super efficient, because I'm not that person. No. I don't like that. I don't like efficiency. I like nice time spent.
Messing. You like to feel like you're playing more than...
And it comes from knowing yourself as well. And I think one of the great things about having failed so many goals is that you can easily identify.
I don't.
Well, that's why that didn't work. That's why that didn't work. And you're just...
I think what you did really well for your backflip endeavor, back tuck endeavor, was that you got yourself around people that can do back tucks.
I did, yeah. I had one main coach who was a circus performer, and he was pretty awesome. And he was the one who got me the back tuck. But by using him, I put myself in a circle of people who some could do back tuck, some couldn't, or whatever. But it was just still that world.
It's so good to be around people. Said about a circle of people.
Why are you making everything so hard, JP?
Yes, no, that was really good. But just
Fair of influence.
That's actually a good point. Slight tangent to what I was going to go on to, but yes, if you can't fix yourself in the environment that broke you or something, there's a phrase.
Yeah.
So if you're trying to change your life, but your environment and the people you're with haven't changed, that can be quite tricky. So that's why going to a gym, going to a class, even though it's quite socially, a bigger deal, it can actually help achieve the goal. However, back to what I was going to say, yes, me and JP do not work the same as Tom.
Nope.
And I actually do have a goal, and I didn't even realize it. I didn't even realize it was a goal. I love handstanding. It's just one of my things that came out of my back injury that I had a few years ago, and I realized that was a different podcast. And I used to do it for fun because I used to love it. 3 times a week I'd be at classes doing it with people. I'd do it myself. I'd do it with a friend. I just realised that sounded really dodgy. Do it in a group, do it by
Are we
myself.
still in a circle at this point? Like, what's going on?
We're all around.
You and Sylvie.
Anyway, so I would just do it because I loved it. And that was a classic, in your 20s, you just did stuff because you loved it. You didn't have anything else to worry about. And I got really good at them and all this stuff. And I then tore both labrums in my shoulders, and I couldn't do handstands very well. I couldn't do much with my shoulders at all. So that just got me out of the habit. And of course, it reduced my skill. And so then I got into this, I used to be able to do that.
Mm-hmm.
I want to be able to do it, but it's frustrating me to do it. So then that sort of like self-perpetuated. You stop doing it even more.
Totally, yeah.
Spend less time doing it. So I was like, right, enough's enough. I know I like doing this. I used to enjoy it. I could still enjoy it. Nothing has changed. Let's find a way to get back doing handstands. And I've just realized this is a process goal after me saying I don't like them.
There you go. You see?
I know. If I sneak myself in there, because I used to have goals, 1 minute handstand, shoulder press, straddle press, all these things. That was great for that time in which I was not struggling to do it.
Mm-hmm.
But now I'm at this stage where just doing it was the hard part. I needed a process goal. But instead of just setting a time slot, which is how I initially started, opposite of Tom, I just set a time slot and assumed, well, I love handstands, I'll just do handstands in this time slot. I'd often skip it.
Sure.
Other stuff would come up, so it'd get moved, it'd get pushed. Or I'd do some stretching instead because that was more easy. And you know what? It's still beneficial to handstands if I just... So what I ended up doing was make a spreadsheet.
Yes.
Classic me, love a good spreadsheet. It was formatted-ish.
Highlight of Jenny's week.
Oh, yeah.
Anytime there's a new spreadsheet.
And for 16 weeks, I pre-rat out what I was going to do every single session. And I linearly progressed it, which I did not stick to, by the way, because disruption still happened. I was away at the weekend because my set slot was at the weekend. And all this stuff. So I didn't hit everything that I planned, but the fact that I had it written down of like...
Still staring you in the face.
This is what you're doing this week. I was like, okay, yeah, that's what I'm doing this week. And even I'd get to it some weeks and go, actually, I want to change that. But just having that foundation there of this is my session for today, it actually was so much easier for me to do it and not palm it off or not put it off. If I couldn't make Saturday, I was like, oh no, I can't take my bucks. I'm going to have to do it on Friday. And, I'd do that, which I hadn't done when I just had a random slot.
That's good.
I think I'm starting to realize just having this conversation about like how important it is for your own learning styles. You can't just set goals based on how other people do things. So I can keep everything in my head. Like whenever I was training people in the gym and we had I could have had 70 people's weightlifting numbers in my head.
I used to be able to do that.
Yeah, it's like, why are you doing that weight? Your 80% is this, so you should be doing this. And I just keep things in my head all the time, and I work very well off that. Whereas Jenny loves to see the thing there. I know what it is. I only need to focus on this bit, you know. And it's finding that out about yourself that's so important. That you can set a goal that has parameters that you actually enjoy. Whereas if you put rules in front of me, I'm gonna break them. I don't like them. You gotta tell me what to do. I tell me what to do. Ooh, that's exciting. I'll do that.
Even if it was you that initially wrote your plan, you still wouldn't do it. No. It has to be now. What do I want to do now?
And an interesting sort of side benefit for you of surrounding yourself with people who could already do it or whatever, is just having that accountability with other people. So I PT a couple, and they have done 2 sessions a week, every week, a couple of exceptions for like holidays, whatever, for like 3 years.
Wow.
Haven't missed it. Twice a week, every week. And for that whole time, one of them has said it'd be great to do a 3rd session, and that they could do it themselves, maybe on a Saturday or a Friday. Hasn't happened.
No.
And it came up last night in conversation, and had it been in the calendar, had it been like, I'll meet you here at this time, it would have happened 100%. It's just that it never got confirmed, and it was never, I'll see you there sort of thing. There's just something about like holding it to yourself. I think there's a similar process with pets and antibiotics, is that I can't remember what the stat is, but 95% of pets have their antibiotic treatment plan finished, whereas only like 50% of humans have theirs finished, because they'll do so much more for somebody else than they will themselves.
Yes.
So there's just something really
Accountability.
it's so good, whether it's a coach, whether it's another person, but just having that you can't fob it off the same, it just gives you a bit extra friction, which is nice.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's just that little bit more painful to cancel. I don't know if this is taking us in a different direction, but I feel like the hardest part about setting a goal isn't necessarily yes, I've had lots of practice, so this is easier for me, progressing towards the goal. I'm sure everyone has to find their own way. There's loads of techniques out there. I find the hardest thing is setting the goal in the first place.
You're so overambitious with many of your goals.
I don't know what you're talking about. But how do you decide what you want to do? And how do you be okay with not doing other stuff while you're working on that thing? Because that's my biggest problem, is I set a goal and then I do it for like a week and go, oh, but what about that other thing that I'm not doing right now? Mm-hmm. And so then I'll sort of like bounce around of like, what do I actually want to do? And how do you guys decide? So JP, you're quite focused. How do you decide what your goal is going to be?
I love how Jenny's like, JP, you're quite focused.
Let's just turn
Tom's
away
looking
from Tom. Is that some glitter over there?
Well, to me, like a goal, it comes back to the definition, is that it's a temporary focus to achieve something you can't currently achieve. And by that nature, it's okay to let other things slip. But then it depends on how much the goal means to you. So like last year, I wanted to gain weight, wanted to gain a bit of size, because when I was rowing, I was in a weight category, and even though it's been 15 years, I still think of myself as being that size, even though I'm massive.
Oh, we know.
But I wanted the two to match. So I went through the process and gained a ton of weight. And I now do feel probably how I looked last year. So the two have aligned. But not through the goal that I expected it to. All that to say, in order to pursue that goal, I had to let go of some of my fitness. And I found that very horrible. I hated it.
Yeah, I remember you struggled with it.
Yeah. So now that I'm back being fit again, it's great. I love it. But it was painful, and I didn't enjoy the process. But I'm really glad I went through it, because I did end up achieving what I hoped to, just not by the path that I thought it would. So that doesn't answer your question.
No, it doesn't, because you knew what you wanted to do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I guess my secondary point was that, how do you deal with that sacrifice of, if you're focusing on one thing, you can't really focus on something else. But the main question is, how do you choose what's important to you?
This has got very deep.
No, I mean, we're still talking about, vaguely training and fitness context.
And it's mostly fitness goals that we're talking about here.
Yeah, we're not talking about life, although potentially some of this does apply.
Yeah.
But
I mean, realistically, I have found it increasingly more difficult to find goals that excite me.
Yeah.
So generally, when I'm starting out something now, there isn't that fire. There's not the like, I'm going to set a date, I'm going to hit this snatch. Part of that comes from the number of failures, and because in setting those goals, often it leads to injury or burnout or overtraining. And so I've almost shied away from super crazy goals and very much gone back to smaller process driven ones. But I don't get excited about them. I
Yeah.
don't get like, can't wait to start this new thing. It's much more of a, all right, this is the way it is now,
Yes.
which is much less exciting and dramatic.
I think an age thing.
Yeah,
as
yeah.
well.
Maybe
This
it is, yeah.
Yeah, for me, like you were saying about you were getting annoyed about, not feeling as fit and stuff like that.
Yeah.
When I was trying to hit that snatch again, like I tried to do some ring muscle ups, bodyweight stuff.
Sure. Oh.
Couldn't do one to save my
Oh
life.
no.
And my mentality back then was like, I don't care. That's not going to lift that weight. And I was just did not care. I was locked in.
Locked
fully
in.
locked
Locked
in.
in, Tom.
Yeah.
Lock it in.
So yeah, but now I'm more same with you, Jenny. Now I'm like, but I want to do all these things and same. But as well, when you have that you have done a lot of stuff over the years, you know how hard it was to get to a certain level. So when you start again and you're starting at the bottom, you're like,
I have to go
I'm
through
gonna
this whole
I'm
thing.
gonna go to like 6 months before it starts feeling good again. And you know what that feels like, and that kind of does suck the fun out of it, I think. And I think
Yeah.
what's really helped me now is reconciling all of the life stuff. It's like, accepting how much stuff you have going on in your life and being okay with not mediocrity. That's not the right phrase, but being proud of what you can do with all the other stuff you've got going on as well. And I
Yeah.
think for anyone
In
trying
context, yeah, totally.
Yeah.
to start a new goal now, so we'll bring it back to helping other people instead of talking about ourselves all day, I think. But yeah, it's
Who'd do that?
making it so that it's something that you're okay with and that you can actually fit into your life,
Yeah.
that you can identify with,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like the big goals are great, but they need to be recognized as big, hairy, audacious goals.
BHAGs.
BHAGs. And knowing that, like, because January, we're a few months away from January now, but January is the perfect time for BHAGs to be set.
Oh,
This year I'm going to, and you set something outlandish, lose 10 kilos or whatever, and you don't identify with the person who is 10 kilos lighter, you don't set a process to get there,
yeah.
but you also don't recognize that is a very big goal. So when you don't achieve it within the first month,
Yeah.
you're like, oh, what's the point?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and the bigger the goal, the longer it takes to achieve.
Yeah.
And the longer you're putting that satisfaction into the future, and that's very difficult to deal with month to month, day to, or whatever it is. And that the same for the rowing is like, we thought of it in 4-year cycles. It's like, okay, for the next 4 years,
Yeah.
I'm going to work towards this goal.
Shaving 2 seconds off my time.
Nothing. Just
Yeah.
such obscene numbers. But that's and that's where most people kind of go wrong. I think is when the goal is that big, how do you create those little milestones along the way, those little wins, or for some people celebrating the processes, for others having even a reward of like, okay, there's 10 parts to your goal, you've achieved one of them, let's have a little woohoo! Or we did last year, the chocolates. So every time we hit one of the business goals, we all got chocolates. I'm going to call it conspiracy theory. We seem to have chocolates every month. I feel like the goals may have been set
I don't know
and
what
made up as we went along, so we can have chocolates every
Big
month.
goalposts. Yeah.
Jenny set the goals.
I may or may not really like chocolate. That's neither here nor there.
Meetings are great.
But just having that moment to acknowledge yourself is a reward enough. Like sometimes, like literally just stopping and going, "Look what I did."
Yeah.
I nailed it.
Yeah, is like, because when specifically in a diet context, rewarding yourself with chocolate is not the best. But just to be like, look at that.
Yeah.
I did that.
Yeah.
Is
I mean,
nice. Yeah, is a nice little marker. In your
And you do need
goals.
to have that. Absolutely. Because you're incredible. You know you are.
A lot of these things are tough though, because we're very fortunate in the position we are. We've been relatively fit and healthy for quite a long time. A lot of the people that we work with haven't, whether it's through injury, through just life happening. There was a lovely lady we met at the last seminar who just had kids.
Yeah.
Like 14 years of raising kids, by yourself or whatever. It's just there's so much going on there. So how does somebody who's either in pain or it just hasn't been happening, how do they start with those goals to get a movement routine or get in shape or like
Start the thing, do the thing.
Yeah,
Definitely making it so easy, I find, to get that win, because it's all about getting that first win.
Yeah.
If you can get that first win, that sense of achievement,
Yeah,
that's when the ball starts rolling. But getting that first one's the hardest thing.
totally.
So picking something that's so simple that you'd feel embarrassed if you didn't do it. Like that's the way I like literally like, oh, I feel silly if I didn't do this.
Yeah.
So habit stacking it with something else. So if you do brush your teeth every day, you can do something every day. If you don't, you should. But so you've got, right, okay, I can do this. So you already can, you can do something every day.
Yeah.
So, okay, before I brush my teeth or directly as soon as I've brushed my teeth or while I'm brushing my teeth, I'm going to work on standing on one leg. I'm going to work on my balance and make it as simple as that. And if you're like Jenny and you like something visual to have, print out a chart of like with boxes on it that you tick off every day. And that's something.
Now you're talking my
see
language.
if you get
calm
4
down there, Tom.
boxes.
Calm down. Jen's getting excited.
Four boxes
See in
of
a moment. You're talking tick boxes?
Jenny, not just tick boxes.
Color coded.
Color coded tick boxes.
Well.
When you start to see that you've done like when you start to see you got 4 of 30 boxes ticked, there's your accountability. You're accountable to this piece of paper, and if you have it stuck up somewhere you can see all the time, you're like, ooh, you don't want to miss your day essentially. So
Yeah.
once you do that, so set yourself up with like a 2 weeks or a month. I'm going to try and do this one little thing every day that I can already do. So it is, you can achieve it.
I would say if it's a daily thing, I'd say 2 weeks. If
Yeah.
it's a weekly thing, a month. Because if you set yourself a month of daily, it is quite hard. I think 2 weeks
30,
is
yeah.
achievable for anyone.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'd start with the 2 week for a
2 weeks.
daily task.
And again, but it's what can you reconcile in yourself that
Yeah.
you can say, okay, I feel like I can do this.
Yeah.
I can do this. If you go in thinking I'm already going to fail,
Yeah.
you're going to fail.
Yeah.
What is
And
that saying?
I can hear that one person. There's many people who are in physical pain, and they're like, but I couldn't even do that. Like, well, here is a little bit of a harsh truth. You're in pain now. You're also going to be in pain if you're working on it.
Yeah. So
Right.
why
Can't do
not?
one.
Not going to get
Yeah.
the immediate result.
Which pain do you want?
Exactly. The time is going to pass anyway. The pain is going to be there regardless.
Yeah.
So why not do something?
Yeah. And it's what I say to people if they're having like a really intense back pain flare up. It's like you do the stuff, but don't be expecting to be 100% pain free.
No.
If you can get yourself 10% more, like
Yeah.
pain or less pain, not more pain. You get
Oh, wow.
10% less pain through moving. That's still a win. You got to take that. Take what you can get.
You
especially at the
literally
start.
have to do that. When you're struggling with a goal, you literally have to be like, catch that spiraling thought of like, what was the point of that? Or this is pointless. I'm not getting anywhere. And you have to literally go, I hear you. However,
Yeah.
we just did that thing.
Yeah.
We could have not done the thing, but we did the thing.
Yeah.
And that in itself was enough for today. Because if you're in pain, just literally getting up or making the time or whatever that very first, okay, I'm here and I've tried is the hardest thing sometimes. So you literally need to acknowledge that, because otherwise you're just thinking about how crap that session was, not the fact that you did it in the first place.
Yeah, the better you can get at identifying those micro wins,
Yes.
the better.
Yeah. And also setting like what is a win as well. So
Totally,
sometimes I work with people that they wouldn't be able to stand for very long periods of time. If they're standing for like an hour or more, their back starts to hurt.
Yeah.
So it's like, right, okay, so we know we have our time frame, which is an hour, your back starts to hurt. Let's see, with the stuff that we do, can we get an hour and 10 minutes? And
Yeah.
that's what you're looking for before the pain starts to kick in. It's like, oh, there's our little bit of improvement.
Totally.
And that's, you latch onto that with everything,
Yeah.
and you start to try and build on that. And what I've found with people is that the more things you start to achieve, the more things you start to think in that way of like breaking stuff down. How can I make this achievable, and how can I make this easier for me so I can actually stick to it?
Yeah.
It's such an important thing to learn.
And then I think as well for people, not in that extreme category where they're in pain all the time, but they've started into an exercise routine, and they're, whether it's a weight loss goal or just they want to be fitter or whatever. Say hypothetically, I had set that goal, and I'm a month in. I've done my Zumba classes. I'm like, you know what? I'm not digging this. However, let's look at the micro wins. You've gone to the classes, you've started a routine, and you start knocking them down, and you go, you know what? I'm really liking this, except for the Zumba part.
Yeah.
Try Pilates. Try something else. Like, a goal can move and evolve.
Totally.
It's not that you're quitting on it. It's just that, okay, you tried it and it didn't work. Let's try something different. Or it did work, but you hate it. Well, let's figure out how you can keep doing it and not hate it. That's a great win.
Yeah.
If you can figure that out.
Totally. Mistakes are necessary in progress.
Totally.
If you're training yourself to be more consistent at something,
Mm-hmm.
that can be shifted to anything.
100%.
So, yeah.
I have a really random example that I just was thinking about when you were talking about the tick box thing. I'm still back there.
Jenny has just made it back from Fantasy World.
I wasn't all here for a while.
I was ticking boxes everywhere.
Yeah, so one thing I never got the hang of was flossing my teeth.
Sure.
I just didn't really see the point, and I just didn't do it.
Water flosser. Carry on.
But now I do. I floss my teeth. It's great. Apparently, it's awesome. I don't know. But because I'm getting work done on my teeth, my new dentist was like, I'm not doing this procedure unless you stop flossing your teeth.
Stop flossing?
Start flossing
right,
your
okay,
teeth
sorry.
because... Stop flossing. Because your gum started bleeding when I tried to start. And I was like, I don't want that. So I was like, fine. So she kind of set a goal for me that it just never had crossed my mind before. But so it's an everyday thing.
Yep.
So I was like, okay, I'm going to only floss my teeth in the evening. I'm not going to try, because she said 3 times a day or 2 times a day or something. And I was like, that's too unachievable for me. I knew that.
From 0 to 3 times a day.
I was never going to do that. So I was like, okay, I'm going to do once a day in the evening when I have the most time.
Yep.
And I did. And at first, it was her accountability that we talked about. I knew she was going to be looking at my teeth. That helped me keep going. But then the more I got into it, I was like, okay, I actually see the benefits of this. And it's actually not that bad. It's super easy. Whatever. It doesn't take much time. But what normally would have thrown me in this process-driven stuff that I usually don't really stick to, because I had this goal of flossing to my appointment with my dentist, was that I was away for the weekend and I forgot to take floss with me. And I was like, oh, well, guess that's it then.
No floss where I'm going.
Exactly. But I know I didn't. Where was I? I can't remember where it was. But wherever it was, I just, I wasn't flossing. I did go buy some floss. But I came back home and I started flossing my teeth again. And it sounds so silly.
That's cool.
But
Restarting,
I came back after missing 3 days of it. And I didn't just go, ugh,
Oh, well.
Pointless.
Which is
all
how-
that time is lost.
wasted. Yeah, it was silly that I even tried in the first place. I came back and was like, you know what? I'll just start again. It doesn't matter that I missed 3 days. It was something very low, it was low importance, I guess, to me.
Sure.
Like, I didn't lose anything by losing those 3 days. It's not like, something that maybe you need to continuously do. But that small thing shifted my identity of someone who, as soon as it's disrupted, I stop, to someone who can pick something back up again,
That's cool, yeah.
even if it was disrupted, which I think for those processy, longer term goals is
That's such a hack.
so important.
Yeah,
Yeah,
totally.
You're going to get sick.
Yeah, you
something's
are,
gonna happen.
yeah,
Life-
yeah.
Something's gonna
life
die. Something's...
Life happens. What is that meme? It's like the biggest lie you tell yourself as an adult is that next week will be better.
yeah. There's a song
Things will calm
called,
down.
Waiting for my real life to begin, and I think that's what we all do sometimes. It's when this has calmed
When
down,
things
then
calm
I can,
down,
I can start my real life, what I've always wanted to do.
Totally.
Yeah. So that was a good thing you touched on there, is like knowing more about stuff too. So it's like, I can't do this procedure for you until we
Yeah.
get this sorted out. It's
Yeah.
like, oh, hang on, there's a consequence here.
Yeah.
And that having more knowledge can be really helpful as well, so especially when it comes to pain and like your body and stuff. And like, I am very, very lazy, so I like to know exactly why I'm doing something,
Sure.
so I know if I'm going to do it or not. Basically. So the more I know about something and the benefits of it, I'm more likely to do it. So
Yeah.
I found that really helpful as well. If I learn more about
True.
the thing I want to achieve
Yeah.
and the benefits of that. So, knowing stuff about bone density and stuff and just
Oh,
muscle
yeah.
as you age and things like that there. Knowing those things can be something that can encourage you,
Yeah.
hopefully, to want to do the things.
And for many people, those are the moments of, right, I need to start. Especially the bone density one, and the number of people that join the gym and they're like, the doctor said I need to. I'm like,
Yeah.
great, good. We've got,
Awesome.
lifting weights is going to be good.
Yeah. Or
Or-
yeah, like they can't pick up their kids anymore, or
Yeah.
keep up with their kids. Like those moments of like, oh, there's consequences to
Yeah,
not being.
totally.
So for setting
cool.
goals,
I like it.
I think to have your demons sitting there as well. What if I don't do this? What's going to happen?
You need the
What if
carrot
I
and the
do
stick.
do this?
Totally. Yeah.
And you just try and keep nudging towards the doo-doo.
Yeah.
Nudging towards
And
the
every
demon.
so often just remind yourself that there's a demon behind you.
Timothy, who's coming?
But that it's a win that you're still ahead of the demon
Exactly.
for now.
So hopefully
Yeah,
that
that's
is
cool.
a bit of a help for setting some goals.
I'm not sure, Tom.
We just did the thing with our slides right at the very start. We just gave a bunch of quotes.
I feel like Jenny's going to go make a spreadsheet now.
She's definitely going to
Oh,
be a
I
spreadsheet.
definitely am, yeah. Because my handstand one is done. I need to actually...
Completed it.
Yeah, I need to make a new one. It's very exciting.
So there we go.
Cool.
Yeah, hope that helps.
Stuff on our website.
Well, SMM has built-in goals.
Oh,
The
yes, it
simplistic
does.
mobility method. For this reason, we have mobility goals. We have tests and things to aim for to track your mobility.
You get really cool animations. Jenny spent so long making this little
Yeah,
animations.
yeah. You can do little badges, progress badges. I made a little tick chart for you. Unfortunately, I didn't make you as a spreadsheet because apparently that's not what normal people do.
But now that you mention it,
Well, I mean, I could.
Yes,
I could. I totally
There's
could.
the motivation station in the ebook as well.
There is, yeah.
Gives you that idea.
So, yeah, if you are really struggling with mobility-related goals, simplistic mobility method has it built in.
Yep. Keep it easy, but doable.
Yeah.
nice. Cool. See you next time.
See ya.
Bye. That mic's not on.